today we're going to be baking the lemon cakes. So we're going to need butter, you're going to need 3 lemons, 2 fit in the cake and 1 for the icing. You need gluten-free or just normal self-raising flour, some caster sugar, baking powder, and this suspicious liquid is chickpea water. So when you open a can of chickpeas, save the water. You want about 200 ml of that one. And we're going to need a grater, so you can grate the lemon zest into the cakes, a little teaspoon to measure this one, a sieve so you don't get any lumps. You can use scales or cups. I'm going to be using scales today. And this blender to fluff up the chickpea liquid before we put it in. You can do it by hand, which is what I used to do, but it takes so much longer. So first we're going to start with 285 grams of the vegan butter. So just going to pop that butter into a nice big mixing bowl. When it becomes creamy and a little bit melted, then we're going to add in the sugar next. This is creamy, a little bit melted. Now we're going to add in 285 grams of sugar. So I'm just going to mix it together so there's no lumps, it's like those ones. It should be nice and creamy. Add 285 grams of our gluten-free self-raising flour. So just going to measure that out, but not add it in just yet. Blend the chickpea liquid with this one to make sure it's all nice and fluffy. And we will just set that to the side once it's all nice and fluffy, nice and light, put that aside the flour. And then we're going to grate our lemon zest into the butter and sugar. Once you've grated 2 lemon zests in, you're now going to add the flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, and the chickpea liquid, just all together, and start mixing. We're just going to add a teaspoon, doesn't have to be exact, just a nice little heap. I'm going to pop that one in. So I'm going to add the flour, but make sure that we're using a sieve, otherwise it's going to come up lumpy and not work so well. And then I'm going to add the chickpea, just pour it in on top. Now we're going to add juice of 2 lemons as well. So we've used the zest of both of them, grated it in, and we're going to add the lemon juice. So for this I would use a sieve just so to make sure we don't get any bits. This is why we use a little sieve. Mix this all together until it combines nicely. So this has turned out perfectly. It's a nice sort of shiny texture where it's almost splitting. That's just how you want it, so it's nice and thick. If you lift it up, it's going to stick a little bit. Don't look down. So that is the texture that you want. Have your baking paper lined tray. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we're just going to pour it in here. Get to this bit, just going to use a fork, whatever you use to mix it, just to spread it around evenly. Combine it a little bit more. There we go, it's ready to be baked. 160 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. So I'm just going to pop it into the oven for half an hour. After half an hour or 35 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is, you just press the skewer into it and make sure it comes out nice and clean. That's all good. It's a beautiful golden colour and it's perfectly baked. Now we're just going to leave it to carry on cooking a little bit as it is, so it inside stays nice and fluffy and it doesn't sink, so we don't want to cool it too quickly. Then after it's cooled down, we're going to take it out of its case and ice it. For the icing, we're just going to squeeze a lemon into some icing sugar, and this is just depends on how much you want. So if you need more icing, you can use more lemons. I'm just going to use 1 ice.